Hello, everyone, and welcome to Farmer Safety Corner, June 16th edition. Um, Today, we're going to be talking about seasonal safety, and I just want to show you some resources that we have available in regards to heat stress, UV exposure, and staying hydrated. We have a number of different resources on our brand new website. As you can see, there's a new face to it, as well as there's some quick links, online training, start your safety plan training and workshops. So quick links to get to what you really need right away. Also, in order to find out specific topics like we're going to talk about today, we have this search button. So I'm going to guide you through this search to find our heat stress policy and then move into perhaps a farm safety rally for seasonal safety and then other resources we have available. So click that search button and type in your space heat stress, and you can see it's popped up here for me. Press enter or search, up to you. Let me, it's not thinking. Okay, let's try that again. I swear the button works. We were just trying it this morning. Let me just try from a new window. My apologies. Only technical glitches when you actually need to access it. It would appear internet connection. It's not connecting. So to show you that this worked from the beginning, here's my search tab here. Hopefully we can get to our documents. I did open them previously just in case as well. So in the search button, click heat stress, and this is the window that comes up. So anything typically with a date is a date that I made a post, so an article or something to provide just some more information. Without a date is usually a section of the website. So for instance, Christmas tree, you're like, what? Heat stress and Christmas tree. Indeed, they do a lot of work this time of year. So under their commodity plans, it's showing that there is a specific document there that would relate to heat stress, as well as for their fruit growers commodity plan. And then down below, as you can see, if there's a date, it's an article. Our COVID-19 resources guide refers to heat stress. Another article, and then here we go, Farmer Safety Rally, and that would link us right into heat stress. And then our sustainability series of the fall of 2019 also had some reference material. So what do we want to do is look at a heat stress policy first, and I'm going to explain why, because whatever's in policy, and this could be a policy procedure because it can explain what we're planning to do on the farm, and it shows our commitment to prevent incident injury in relation to heat stress. So if we click the Christmas tree, it will show us the main page. And then if you click in section 2 under the English section, the Spanish section will be available later this week. And we scroll down under policies and checklists. As I mentioned, the heat stress is a policy/procedure. And then we click heat stress policy. This will open up into a Word document that you can download and make changes. So you can use this specifically for yourself. Thinking that we are having a little bit of an issue with our internet connection, I've already opened this policy so that we could take a look. I'll just make it a little bit bigger here so you see one page at a time. So as you can see, there's directions to under that commodity plan on how to just insert your farm name. So download that sheet above as well. And then here's our heat stress policy. So it goes through some definitions. Some things you may not be familiar with and may be new to you, such as ACGIH. This is American Conference of Governmental Industrial Hygienists. This is a table of different threshold levels and values and any biological exposure limits that may be affecting the work that you do. And heat stress is included in these tables, so subsequently included in this policy. And then it just gives you all the definitions as it pertains to this particular policy. We make our policy statement, and that's basically saying what is our commitment to preventing heat stress on the farm while we do our work. And keep in mind, heat stress may not just be summer months. This could be into the winter months, depending on the environment you work in. So if you're working in a processing plant, what is the temperatures like in there? So this policy can apply for year round, not just the summer months. So you want to make some adjustments to who this policy is intended to protect. So depending on your farm operations, that could change. And then there's some proposed roles and responsibilities for the employer and managers, the workers, the joint health and safety representative or committee, depending on if your farm needs one. And here we get into the meat and potatoes. So we've kind of laid out the groundwork of the purpose and who's going to do what. Now here's the what. Here we go and we evaluate the heat stress exposure limits. And again, these refer to tables, and there's references at the bottom of the policy as well, if not below the table. And then it even includes acclimatization. Sometimes in Nova Scotia, even if you consider last week we had 30 some odd degrees, and this week we're into 17 degrees, with our fluctuations, it's very difficult to acclimatize. So we try to do the best we can. We look at the work demand. So if we're doing a heavy labor work in the farm, we're out in the fields planting by hand, and I've seen this a few places, that's the preferred method, or weeding or doing any type of field work. It could be very laborious and have high work demand. So we would include that as part of our temperature calculations and what limits we may require for rest breaks and limits just for work. How much we do. Do we do 100% of our normal capacity, or do we back off of it, take more breaks? And then we look at our recovery cycle. And on the farm, this can vary. So there may be some farms that you can have shifts, and other farms that you're working 14, 15 hours straight a day. So it will depend on your work environment. And then we scroll down and we kind of look at the clothing type too that we're wearing. Are we wearing regular work clothes? Is it cloth? Is it double layer? Oh, polypropylene coveralls, that really keeps the heat in, and so is polyolefin coveralls. And then any limited use vapor barrier coveralls. And so those are almost like rain gear, if you consider that same thickness and that type of barrier. And you can see how it adds the temperature and increases it greatly. So if you've ever worn rain gear outside, especially if you're spraying pesticides in the middle of the summer, it's very, very hot. So it would be reasonable that that would increase the temperature of your body to 11 or 11 plus what would be existing. So here it goes through too, how do you determine what the heating conditions are on the farm? And it goes through what you would look at for heat stress and heat hazard assessment components. So what types of hazards would exist? And in Nova Scotia, not so much in the western provinces, but we have to consider the humidity. This can increase our temperatures greatly. So when we look at our temperatures for the day, we also want to look at what is the temperature with humidity and include that in our calculations. Any type of heat radiation, air movement, workload, as we talked about before, workers' physical condition. So looking at age, weight, fitness, their ability to acclimatize. Consider your temporary foreign workers in this area too. They might be used to working in the hot temperatures, but maybe you need something more so for cold stress because they're not used to working in the cold temperatures. So it's interesting to see with the different work populations what you may need. And then of course we talked about clothing. I just touched on indoor heat stress with such as processing plants. So here is a little bit of a hazard assessment in relation to protecting workers who work indoors, considering ventilation, any type of air cooling, and convection heat that may arise out of fans and that type of thing. So here's your protections where thermal conditions cannot be controlled. So what do you do if this is all out of your control? You're out in the middle of the field. So what are the types of things that can help you cool yourself down and get a break from that heat? So even monitoring the conditions, personal monitoring. So making sure you're watching the workers and yourself to see how you're reacting to certain temperature conditions throughout the day. Cooling devices, if you can't have portable fans, what else is there? Do we have water accessible to cool ourselves down? And then it goes through other certain administrative and work controls to use, as well as personal protective equipment and the types of clothing that helps keep the body cool. So and it mentions here too, wetted clothing like terry cloth coveralls that cool the body, especially when worn underneath reflective and other impermeable protective clothing is quite nice. And then water cooled garments, of course, as I just kind of touched on. Anything that helps circulate the air and then also reflect the light. So light colored clothing as well as lightweight and then reflective, as we just mentioned. Don't forget to hydrate. I'm going to get into a couple of farmer safety rallies that go in more in depth in your hydration process. Removal and treatment if there is exposure. What is your plan if somebody does have and is suffering from heat stress, and the different levels of heat stress, to heat exhaustion and to the point of heat stroke. A little bit more on acclimatization, what your procedures are going to be. And it gives a little table there. What happens if it's 45 plus degrees? Are you going to stop work? So don't forget, if this isn't possible for you, put in your own controls into these tables. When you download this into a Word document, this is completely editable and you can make it your own. What training and education are you going to give your workers so they understand the importance of controlling this? And then looking at the first aid for heat stress. We talked about heat stroke, heat exhaustion right here. What about fainting, heat cramps, sunburn, and then of course, heat rash. And then, of course, if you hire anybody to come and do work on the farm, what is your responsibility and what is their responsibility in relation to heat stress? So this is a one all-inclusive document that gets you started on what to do to protect your workers while they're working in the heat. Very good resource. And like I mentioned, this is available under the commodity specific plans. So we have it under the Christmas tree plan, as well as we have it under the fruit growers plan. So going back to our search, there's our Christmas tree, fruit growers. That's where we find our policy. But I also mentioned we have Farmer Safety Rally. So let's click on that. And here we have a page with all the Farmer Safety Rally templates we have available. We have several different categories, but to get to heat stress, you want to hit seasonal safety, and that will open up a new menu, and it will break it down into farming in the heat, farming under UV rays, hurricanes, which is going to be later this season, protecting your eyes from the sun, which is very important, and then tick checks. So if we click on farming in the heat, it opens up another Word document, and it will open up here in a second. There it is. Running a little bit slow today. So here is a full template that you can use and make it your own. So up at the top, it shows farm name. And then the first page, because this is only a 2-page document, it's quick and easy. These are intended to have meetings with your workers 5 minutes out of the day, maybe the first thing in the morning, and just give them some information on how to protect themselves. And this in particular is farming in the heat. So staying with our topic, heat stress. So recognizing heat cramps, heat exhaustion, heat stroke, how to prevent, and then what happens if somebody is suffering. So how to treat. Very simple, easy information and quick to deliver. And then the second page is the meat and potatoes of this meeting. Let me just make this a little bit bigger for you. This is the actual discussion record of the meeting. So it shows that you did train your workers and you can see if they've gained any understanding of the topic. First of all, we want to have the discussion. So under agenda, I've listed a few points that you may want to discuss with your workers in relation to heat stress. So what preventative measures do you currently have in place? How do you cool it in the heat right now on the farm? Where do workers access drinking water? What type of clothing are they wearing while they're working in the heat? And then just kind of recognizing the signs and symptoms. What are you really looking for? So reviewing those above. So here, there's some questions to prompt your workers and just check their understanding. So looking for any additional safety concerns, follow-up concerns to a previous rally that you may have had. Maybe there were some other concerns or issues or initiatives brought up in the last meeting. Any action items you want to take? Maybe we need to change our access location to the water, how it's housed. Is it running water? Is it still water? Is it staying fresh? Can it be cooled? Any near misses or incidents or conditions that have come up since the last meeting, if you had one before or one that they're just thinking of now. Any topics recommended for future rallies? What else do the workers want to cover in these meetings? And then here's a little quiz that you can print one of these for each of your workers so you can have a quiz by each of your workers, or you can do these as a group. It is completely up to you and how your farm meetings work. And so we go through a few questions. Scenario is available on this particular meeting. And then of course, an attendance record. We want to know who's attended and available on this particular day of this meeting. So here you can put your printed name of each of your farmers or farm workers, and then of course their signature would go over here to prove of attendance. Very simple, very easy to use, available for download, and like I said, yours to be able to adjust and make your own. Then we have one here for farmers under UV, farming under UV rays. Let me see if I can open this one. Just takes a second here. There it is. Let me make it bigger. Again, that first page is all about the information, collecting information from your workers, but also as well as delivering. And this is the collecting. Similar setup. We've kept them all the same. It's different information, of course, but same formatting. So it's not a brand new meeting each time. You're kind of used to that format and you can use it very quickly. And then, of course, we have protecting your eyes from the sun. Key, again, opens up into a Word document. We open it up here. And there you are. Information on the first page, and there's your rally, if you will, on the second page. And this is all about preventing UV exposure to your eyes and the different conditions that can happen if we don't protect our eyes. And the last thing I want you to take a look at is actually the Occupational Health and Safety General Regulations, because there are regulations in place for drinking water, toilets, hand cleaning facilities, eating areas, work clothes, and change rooms, and things like that. So specifically for heat stress, we're going to look at that drinking water. So what is the employer's responsibility or the farm owner's responsibility in providing potable drinking water? So it says here, an employer shall, where reasonably practicable, make accessible sufficient potable water for drinking and hand cleaning that is close enough to the work area that neither drinking nor washing is inhibited. So we want to make it sure it's easy for them to get to so they'll actually use it. Not further away than 200 meters, should be within reasonable walking distance or driving distance, if that's accessible or acceptable. And it meets the standards set out in the latest version of the guidelines for Canadian drinker water quality. So here it's giving you another source of reference to be able to go to see what the details are and what may be the minimum requirement. And so of course it goes through if the drinking water is not from a pipe, if it sits in a container, making it accessible again with sanitary conditions. So clean drinking cups or water bottles are available for them to be able to drink the water from. And then where outlets exist for both drinking water and water not suitable for drinking, an employer shall appropriately label. So if you have outdoor taps and you should let your workers know if that is something that's potable or not. We don't want them to drink from something that may not be safe for them and then they get sick. So that is a highlight there, mostly under the Occupational Health and Safety general workplace regulations for having water available and keeping your workers hydrated while they work. So at this point, I open the floor up to you for any questions. If you have any questions, just enter them into the chat feature. I'm just going to open up the chat box here. I'll leave this on the farm safety page. So if you're joining a little bit late, if you want me to run through how to access some of this information, just let me know and I'll review that. If I don't see anything in the next few minutes, then we'll wrap it up here. Any questions in relation to finding resources on heat stress? We reviewed the heat stress policy being available in the commodity specific plans. Just wondering if my internet connection is a little bit better here, as well as farmer safety rallies. Yes, please. How to access this information? Perfect. So we were trying to search it earlier, and one second. Ooh, hang on. Let me go back. Click on the website. And then we were clicking search. And so we put in heat stress, but what we found was it wouldn't load, but now happily it loaded. And as I mentioned before, anything with a date is a post. So something that I've written as a blog post and is available on the website to read. And then anything without a date is a resource in a page on this website. So Christmas trees has a heat stress policy as well as fruit growers. And then down below too, Farmer Safety Rally is a page that where we were just at looking at those different meeting types that we could open. The sustainability series is a series of posts which also contain heat stress. So there's lots of different resources that you could use and click on. Our COVID-19 resource guide also includes some heat stress, not as in much detail as the Christmas tree growers program or nor the fruit growers commodity specific program. So I'm going to click on the fruit growers program. And it's just thinking, you can see my little wheel turning. And you can find that heat stress policy if you haven't downloaded a copy of this program already in section 2, and it says heat stress. So, and that will open up into a Word document, just loading here, and when it flashes. And this session has been recorded. So if you missed the very beginning and you want me to go through the Word document again, I'll have this posted on the YouTube channel by the end of the month, and you can go through that. And so this heat stress policy gives you a wealth of information of how to set up preventative measures from your workers from suffering from illness from heat stress. And then, of course, if we go back to our search page, we were at the Farmer Safety Rally just a few minutes ago, and then we click on seasonal safety, and that's where we have farming in the heat, farming under UV rays, and then protect your eyes from the sun. I hope that helps. Any other questions specifically? We spoke to the general occupational health and safety regulations as well. Any other questions in relation to heat stress? But if not, we have a few minutes. If you have a topic or something you want me to help you search, write that in the chat and let me know, and I will help you find it. We still have 6 minutes here. So if we go in, farming in the heat, you will see a blog post that opens up. And it's very similar to the Farmer Safety Rally, very similar information. But this way, in the Farmer Safety Rally, you can share it with your group. And this is when you hit going back to list, this shows what's all been posted most recently. I'm going to refresh this page. There we go. Because it showed February of earlier in the year of this year. So we've had Farmer Safety Corners changing, which is this new format today. We've also had some posts in regards to zoonotic disease and pregnancy. Our first was brucellosis, and then a feature on We Talk We Grow, working with Do More Ag Foundation, and of course another of zoonotic disease, which came out this week on chlamydiosis. And there's our farming in the heat. Going back to our heat stress search. And then just going under sustainability series. Now we had, the only thing with this one, it gives you the whole entire series, but you would have to search for your particular topic in each of the topic headings here. And a lot of the heat stress is going to be under your first aiders and first aid kits and emergency response. So being able to have first aiders that can respond to that type of emergency is key on the farm. All right, last call for any questions. Again, we have 5 minutes, doesn't have to be on this topic. It can be anything you want to ask me. This is our new events calendar. So you can see for the month of June, we had an In the Know occurred last week, which is mental health literacy training specifically for the ag industry. And then next week we have coming up the Farmer Safety Rally in the evening. It will be the same topic and basically the same information delivered, but in the evening from 7 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. We don't have a lot of events coming up for the summer, as you guys are very busy out on the farm. So, but we do have with safety services, fall protection and forklift operator courses available. And these will be at the Dartmouth location. And then of course, Farmer Safety Rally as well. All right, I'm going to wrap this up here. I don't see any more questions in the chat.